So this week we have a week-long retreat, which is lovely because we have plenty of time to explore and look into things much more closely, in much more detail than we can on shorter retreats or in home practice. So let's do this session of, it's kind of like a how to say, preparatory practice. Just exploring the subtle bodies, and as we go along I will point out some things that you can pay attention to. So sit upright, comfortable upright position where the weight of your upper body is firmly resting on your sitting bones. So the lower spine, it feels like the root of a tree. A tree is thicker and wider at the bottom, and that's exactly how it feels with the spine also, that when the spine rests against the pull of gravity, it feels very natural and very comfortable. But if the spine is out of alignment with gravity, then it doesn't feel as natural. And these things, these posture things, I started my formal practice over 20 years ago in Zen tradition, Rinzai Zen, and there's a lot of emphasis on physical posture and physical alignment. Sometimes probably too much. But in the world of Tantra, it's kind of the opposite. There's much less emphasis and much less emphasis on physical posture, but it is actually very important. And something that can happen to us lay people is that, when we sit on couches and when we sit on some chairs in the house that may or may not have, completely horizontal sitting surface, and when we sit in, driving a car and in sitting in trains that have poor chairs, we develop bad habits. But I kind of noticed my own bad habits that have developed with the posture just 1 or 2 weeks ago, when I usually sit on a chair at home, here where I'm sitting now. But after practicing Hatha Yoga asanas, I took my sitting cushion and sat on it cross-legged on the floor, and I noticed that, it's so different when the posture is really firm and really natural. That if the spine is leaning forward, backward, a little bit sideways, little bit something, then it simply isn't the same. It's so easy to sit when the body and the spine is really well aligned. And also how it affects the breathing, the muscles that move breathing is great. If the spine is too much in the front, too much leaning forward or leaning backward, then there are subtle unnecessary tensions in the muscles in the chest and in and around the belly. Unnecessary tensions. So what you want to have is that you can relax all those tensions, all those muscles that you would be otherwise using. Of course, there are deep muscles in the body that support the body sitting upright, but all these superficial muscles in the belly, at the lower belly, center of the belly, in solar plexus area, on the sides. Those you don't need to tense at all. And when you can relax the belly, then it becomes possible to relax the chest and shoulders. Relaxing shoulders affects how you can relax the arms. When you can relax the chest and shoulders, it affects the neck, throat, sides of the neck, jaws, mouth, face, eyes, and the whole head. I remember one Theravada teacher who I listened to a couple of years ago. In their lineage, they have a rule that when a new student starts to practice in their lineage, the first exercise they are given is that they simply need to be able to sit completely still for 1 hour. Nothing else. Just paying attention to the body and just relaxing it in good alignment without moving. At least for 1 hour. In tantric practices, there are always more than one element that we are doing at the same time. There are chakras, channels, mantras, visualizations, different types of breathing. There are mudras, combing, tapping, rubbing, stomping, all kinds of things that we do. And this is kind of a something that I often say is to make the tools your own. Own your tools. So that, figuratively speaking, you're not just borrowing my tools all the time, but making the tools your own, studying those elements. What I have done a lot in my practice is to deconstruct tantric practices. You know, for example, in Vajra body, we have flexing of the muscles, breath work, mantra, and visualization all at the same time. But what I've done a lot is to take each one of those elements and study them separately, practice them separately, to see what is the effect of using a single element, what is the effect of putting 2 elements together, 3 elements together, 4 elements together. And if we, for example, think of Vajra body that has 4 elements, you won't understand it if you do one single 20-minute study. Maybe you notice something, you are able to observe something. Of course you're able to observe something, but you won't make the tool your own in 20 minutes or in 2 short sessions or in short time. That's the thing with everybody, and this is why the reason why I've often spoken about standards or the lack of standards in the world of yogic meditation. And like yesterday also I spoke about professional yogic practice. So it is the case with everything, isn't it? We all have some kind of job education. We went to how do you say ammattikoulu in English, like occupational schools. We went to polytechnic schools, we went to universities, and we spent a lot of time there studying those things, acquiring knowledge and acquiring skills. No different with yoga. And even if your goal isn't in becoming a teacher or a professional yogi, nevertheless, like I said yesterday, also, my job, sitting here and being the head teacher and founder of Amrita Mandala, my objective is mainly to make sure that as many of my students as possible become Mahasiddhas. That's the most important one. And then, cultural things like educating, training professional yogis is another one, and there are a number of other ones, other objectives. But even if you are unsure whether you are going to or you want to, if you're not sure that you have the grit and willpower and readiness to make it to full enlightenment, to Buddhahood in this life, at least as a teacher, I need to set standards. So when I say that you're not gonna get this stuff doing one 20-minute study session once a month, I'm just clarifying it for you. That if you really want to make the tools your own and really want to practice according to standards set by, for example, these two masters behind me, Padmasambhava and Babaji and many other Mahasiddhas, then it requires solid training, solid practice. Not a little boomy workout, going through the boomy pillar, different boomy centers every 3 months, but systematic study. And I have provided tools for you to do that. We have so many recordings available in YouTube. We have many online courses that you can take. So I've actually made it so easy for you. So if you want to make the tools your own, then you need to make room in your daily schedule and do that. And from my experience, it's extremely enjoyable and fulfilling journey, fulfilling study. Very enjoyable. Okay, so good posture, belly, area of the belly as relaxed as possible, chest, shoulders, arms, hands, fingers. Also relaxing hips, thighs, knees, lower leg, ankles, feet and toes. Neck, throat, sides of the neck, mouth, jaws, ears, around the ears, back of the head, sides of the head, temples, eyes, eyebrows, forehead, scalp, and all areas inside the head, And there are different ways of relaxing. We can look at relaxing as just letting tissues kind of melt. You know what happens because of subconscious tensions? We all have subconscious tensions. All that selfing that we haven't yet addressed and released, and all those habits of trauma, as well as selfishness, they are going on and on in the subconscious. And some of that stuff, as you know, momentarily comes to conscious, becomes into the field of awareness, and we react to it. We say something, we react somehow. But all that stuff is going on in the subconscious mind most of the time, and that affects our subtle bodies and physical tissues. So it actually makes tissues, muscles react, tense, affects the nerves, affects organs, affects soft tissues, even hard tissues, bones. So it's a basic yogic skill, meditative skill, to just let the physical tissues melt. This is one kind of relaxation technique. Just letting tensions melt. All unnecessary tensions can just melt, can disperse. And this is already, how are we applying this? What are we doing exactly with what we are doing now? We can feel, perhaps even visibly see from our body that it is affecting actual physical tissues, our physical bodies. Breathing calms down, becomes calm and rhythmical, deeper. Sometimes breathing can become very subtle, like very small, as if the body didn't need as much oxygen as before. You can feel the pulse getting calmer, steadier. But what is also happening is that we are working with the meridian system, meridian field, also known as the astral body. Linga Sharira. So if we are clear about one important thing, which is that we always work with sensations, we always work with actual experiences that we have. If we understand that key point of meditation practice and tantric practice, then something as simple as relaxing like this can have a great effect. So I'm here making a distinction with the most obvious point that so many times meditators of different types, they are in their heads. They are stuck with the wheel of thinking, overthinking, analyzing, doubt, negative habits, even during meditation. But if you sit, meditate, relax like we do now, or practice any type of meditation, it is an actual experience. It is not a concept, it is not a thought, it is a visceral experience. It is a bodily experience. It's a very obvious point, but sometimes is forgotten. You know, this is another kind of a bad habit. You know, we are so head-centered in the modern world. We are so, there's so much, sensory input, visual input, auditive input, so much stuff coming our way that even if we meditate, that hassle that is going on in the mind and especially in the head, where the energy has risen, you know, pranic currents are the most active in the head, that even during and after meditation, that doesn't switch off. And it can be a habit, you know, if we are not aware of this and spend a lot of time with smartphones and Netflixes and, you know, other things, if we are too active with stuff, doing too many things, then it can and does intrude our practice. But the practice, and this is a beautiful point, the practice and especially the practice of tantric yoga, which leads to realization and perfection of the two subtle bodies, meaning leads to the attainment of the light body or rainbow body. It is always built and based from experience, from the sensation of the physical and subtle bodies. It's such a beautiful point. So Tantra is not a path of renunciation where you keep a lid or avoid sexuality, or where you avoid different types of experiences, different simple pleasures of life. good meals, a glass of wine, a drink of Coca-Cola, ice cream, enjoying sun in the beach, playing with your dog or your friends or your children. Tantra is not a path where you are, discouraged to make jokes and smile. Tantra is the opposite of the path of renunciation. We embrace all those things in life, all those little and great pleasures in life, and bring awareness to all those experiences. And when we sit here, doing a simple relaxation practice, this is important to connect for us that it's a very pleasant experience. The physical body is not a problem. There are so many lineages and teachers and maharishis and whatever who say that the body is a prison, or that the body is an obstacle to cultivation or liberation. No, no, no. According to tantrics, it is the opposite way. It is the opposite. And it has to be, because if we think about full enlightenment and light body, it's all about our bodies and embodiment. So the view of the body is completely different, is wholly positive in Tantra in comparison to paths of renunciation. So it's very different. And also another point, it's good to have, we need to balance things in life as much as possible. It is good to have, it supports your practice if there isn't too much hassle and noise. If there isn't too much sounds in your life. So it is helpful, it can be helpful if you have, silent home, quiet surroundings where you live. It can help. But this is not an absolute requirement that you would need to be in a perfect, silent, quiet atmosphere, like a monastery somewhere in the middle of a forest, to be able to practice. That is also a difference between renunciative and monastic view and the tantric householder view. So here, when we sit, we feel our tissues soften. And when our physical tissues soften, when the pranic currents, energetic currents in the astral body, in the meridians, they start balancing, kind of get spread evenly all over the meridian field. And we feel the effect of it, isn't it? And it feels so good. Feels so good. Calming effect, balancing effect, clarifying effect. kind of like a resetting our body mind. I said a few moments ago that this is one kind of a relaxation technique when we just think of letting go of tissues. We feel into the body and its tissues, and we just let it soften, let it go. And we can think in terms of melting. But when I say melting, what kind of association it gives us. When we think of things melting, we perhaps think of, when we have a lit candle and the wax, when it melts, it starts falling downwards. Same with honey, it falls downwards slowly. It falls downwards, it melts downwards because of the pull of gravity. And another way of relaxing, I give you a different analogy. You can think of a flock of birds in a cage, shut in a cage, and then all of a sudden you open the doors of the cage in all directions so that the birds fly away in the front, in the back, on the sides, to all directions. They just leave the cage. Let that happen. Those pigeons flying to freedom. Yes, very different. Now we are not only melting downwards, we are kind of melting to all directions, opening to all directions. All those energies, stuck energies, unnecessary tensions, subconscious holding, and it feels different, doesn't it? And that's why I said different way of relaxing. From all parts and areas of the body, letting birds fly free, letting tensions just disperse into the surrounding space around us in all directions. one um, way of describing the same experience that I sometimes use when teaching is to think of a house and then think of doors and windows of the house, and then simply leaving the doors and windows all open so that the fresh air from outside can go in and out and flow through the whole building, flow through the whole mechanism, the whole system. So here, yesterday, like I often do, I tell you to relax your eyes and mouth, because relaxing eyes, it relaxes the seeking mode. The reason why it's the seeking is tied to eyes is because people who have healthy, normal sense of vision, the seeking attaches to our primary sense organs, eyes. But here we are not, if we think in terms of a building, a house, and windows and doors of it, we are not concerned about a single door or a single window. We simply leave the whole body, the whole skin, eyes, ears, nose, sense of touch, tactile sensation, skin. We simply leave all of it open. We open it up. Yesterday in the evening session we did that, focused on knowing awareness. That awareness is cognizant, conscious. This is doing exactly that same exercise with the whole body. Leaving windows and doors open, just letting energies flow freely, thoughts come and go or stay, reactions, memories, mind stuff, letting it flow completely freely, not so that it is in the field of awareness. We are aware of things happening, but don't grab a hold of them and start doing stuff with it, or pushing it away, or pushing away the bad stuff, negative stuff, and keeping the positive stuff. Just letting everything flow freely. Just like it is in nature, folks. We are learning to be a blade of grass. Isn't that interesting? How many PhDs and Masters of Arts we have in this session, and we're learning to be like a blade of grass. It is sometimes healthy to admit to oneself that we are pretty dumb. We are idiots in one sense, because we are foreign to our nature, our very nature. Frog knows its nature, a bird knows, a dog knows, a blade of grass knows, a flower knows. So we have gone through three analogies. First melting, then opening the cage of the birds, and thirdly letting doors and windows open. Yesterday I spoke, and today we spoke with Jussi here a little about yesterday I spoke about the retreats in monastery where I used to live, and that half of the month is spent in retreat. Oh, imagine if we had the opportunity to just sit together silently for a week, a full week, and just let the windows and doors be open. And just sit together. Really study and learn the basic stuff properly as a Sangha. That's what I did back in the day by myself. I spent 8 years and 10 months in retreat. 8 years and 10 months. Sitting 8 hours or more every day. I did my training, most of my training that way. If this is your thing, you can too. Just arrange your life accordingly. And do your training properly, with a straight back, with clear motivation. But even if it is, your home training, if it's 1 hour a day, very good. 2 hours of quality practice a day, better. Definitely better. 4 hours a day, very, very good. I'll take a fourth analogy that I often use when teaching. Fourth analogy for relaxing, fourth way of relaxing, which is that we can think of the dirt, the stuff that has accumulated in our minds, in our psyche, and also in the physical tissues as this stuffy, dark, black, grey, dark grey smoke. Let that smoke evaporate, leave your body, leave your tissues. All the negativity, toxicity, energetic poisons, emotional poisons, even physically, poisons that we get from cosmetics and food and from air pollution. Let all of that, those poisons, leave your body in the form of black smoke. Some of you are able to just do that intuitively, but you can also visualize it. This black dark smoke leaving your organs, leaving your body, leaving your head, leaving your heart, your gut, your limbs. and then you continue it until no black smoke is left. Beautiful, isn't it? So simple, yet the gift is so real. We can feel the gift of life, gift of health. From all over the body, from head, from brain, eyes, face, mouth, jaws, tongue, back of the head, sides of the head, neck, throat, shoulders, chest, upper back, black smoke going out like from a factory pipe in China. Not hurting the atmosphere though. Leaving the physical tissues, subtle tissues, and here more specifically tissues of the astral body, letting the poisons, toxins from the spine evaporate and disperse from the neck, vertebrae in the neck, from internal organs, lungs, heart, liver, solar plexus, intestines, spleen, pancreas, kidneys, also from muscles all over the body, from blood vessels, from skin, even from hair, even from nails. if you have some old injuries or new injuries in the physical body that are still healing, or maybe they are healing very slowly. So this you can feel, be aware, become aware of that place, that area, and from there also let toxins release in the form of black, dark, gray smoke. So removing if there is some psychological anxiety or fear, holding, letting that go so that the body can heal. Same if you have some stubborn stiffness, perhaps with lower back, perhaps with shoulders, perhaps with neck, or any other area, stubborn stiffness, let that also disperse in the form of black smoke. One thing that is also another thing that is relevant to working with the body and the meridian fields like this is that if you are aware where your trauma knot is, by trauma knot I mean what happens with complex developmental trauma is that the meridians, the tissues of the subtle body, they harden into a knot and they lose their elasticity. So it becomes like it feels like well, relatively small stones that usually they feel like there's something burning there, like hot coals, this unpleasant sensation. So if you know where your trauma knot is, feel it now. And then we are not trying to make the whole knot disperse, but just let that toxin that can release through black smoke, let that evaporate. So letting some bad air out from the trauma knot. As you feel the black smoke leaving from the trauma knot, what can happen is that because the trauma knot affects the whole body, affects the whole psyche, which means affects the whole meridian field. So you might be able to feel the kind of like an echo from the trauma knot into all those channels where the trauma habit, when it kicks in, when it activates, how it affects the meridian system, and through meridians the physical tissues. So if you feel that echo, then also let the black smoke release from those echoing parts. So you simply let dark smoke to disperse, to release from the body, a subtle body, until it doesn't, until there's nothing to release. And then what? Just sit. Knowing with the whole body, whole being. The eyes automatically see, the ears automatically hear, the skin automatically feels, the heart automatically feels. Effortlessly, without doing it, we feel. And in that feeling, with your whole being, there is presence. And this presence has a knowing quality, cognizant quality. It is not passive or unaware or unconscious, but fully aware and effortlessly aware. So how does it feel now? After doing the 4 different types of relaxation, how does it feel? How do we feel different than an hour ago? So the goal with even with very simple relaxation exercises like these, the goal is what? Perhaps in secular mindfulness, it is said that the goal is just to relax a bit more, lower the pulse, and in that way get a better health, better sleep, and so on. But really, it goes much, much deeper. It goes, the main goal of any technique, exercise, practice is to know oneself as a pure being. What does it mean, pure being? We bring the Mahasiddha Bhumis into the midst of our bodies and minds and psyches, subtle bodies. We establish momentarily, again and again, with any technique, our pure basic nature, Buddha nature, Christ-like nature, likeness with God. That's what it's about. And all techniques are capable of making that happen. Remember that. If you are chanting mantra like kind of like trying to cut something with a dull knife, just repeating the mantra, and you say it with frustration and even more frustration because nothing happens with it. Nothing happens. I keep saying the mantra but nothing happens. It's like trying to cut something with a dull knife. But then the application is wrong. The problem is not in the mantra. Something as simple as relaxation, and look at you. How do you feel now? Something extremely simple. You learn relaxation in a yoga studio, in any city block, on meditation and mindfulness lessons. Right? The secret always is in understanding how to use the practice and understanding to observe what is going on in your mind. If you have like a machine of confusion and doubt and anxiety in one part of your body and mind going on all the time while you're trying to say mantra on other part of your mind, obviously it's not going to work so well. Well, if you put some focus on the mantra, this is the gift of dynamic concentration, understanding how to apply dynamicity, increase dynamicity into concentration, then you can affect that machine of stuff by saying mantra, by focusing on it, focusing on syllables. But you understand my point. My point is that all techniques, all practices have the power to establish us in our pure basic nature, in that everyday mind. Yesterday I quoted Zen Master Nansen. Timeless, selfless, spaceless basic nature. Absolute state, folks. Absolute state. And it is perfectly fine. It has to be said that we need to understand that we are all going through a process. And our bodies are organic, right? We are not machines. So we also need to understand that it is a process, a gradual process, and it requires patience. So, if you are sitting at your home next week, releasing black smoke, and it's not as deep experience perhaps as this session, and then you grow frustrated. Why isn't this working? Or why isn't some other practice? Why am I not having a deeper experience? So then you need to be wise, patient, and look into that frustration, that doubt, that anxiety. Look at it, give it attention, make friends with it. Don't fight with it. Don't create a conflict. Make friends with it. This is the first technique in the first trauma special. Metta meditation, loving kindness. You make friends. You listen. And from listening, gain understanding and friendship. Completely pure, stainless, not selfish, but available, always available to all. Selfishness means that, we are very selfish. I want benefits for myself, and I want to keep those benefits and not give them to others, right? This is basic nutshell explanation of selfishness, but the opposite. The sun gives life to all. Earth gives life to all. Air gives life to all of us. Not being selfish at all. So obviously this is the, the key point, the core point of our problem, that we constantly think in terms of self and other, me and then them, and then we want to keep the benefits to ourselves. The good things for me, and you can have the lower quality of things or not have anything at all. This is a major illness in the world today. We have so many billionaires who are getting vastly richer every day, and they are not giving to others. So poor people get poorer because of that. I want everything to myself. It's an illness. It's a mental illness. Of course, if we are selfish and deluded, self-deluded, no matter how many billion you have, no matter how, I saw this video in Facebook yesterday about private yachts. And some of these yachts cost $500 million. It's massive, like ships. But I doubt, you can't buy happiness. You can't buy it. You can't buy peace. The only way to get in touch with real happiness and peace, genuine happiness and peace, is to stop doing this, me and them. I am better, I want this, and they won't have the good stuff. The only way to become happy and peaceful is to give. Make yourself available, make whatever you have available for others, so that they can have it too. It's very sinful, karmically very problematic to keep. Very problematic. Takes you away from happiness and peace and clarity of mind. And that's why it's the main exercise in Mahayana Dharma, Bodhicitta, and different ways of applying Bodhicitta. What is Bodhicitta? Yes, we are practitioners, yogis and yoginis who want to attain full enlightenment, but not only for my sake, but for the benefit and sake and freedom of all beings. Feel your energy shift as I'm speaking about this. For the benefit of all beings. Releasing smoke, chanting mantras, purifying chakras, channels, astral, causal, revealing our pure basic nature, for the sake of all beings. Everybody who you know, everybody who you don't know. Human life, animal life, plant life, planets, stars, air, mountains, rivers, vital energy itself. Physical beings, physical bodies, non-physical beings, non-physical bodies. For the benefit of all of them, each one of us, I want to benefit all beings. I want to share this gift to all, with all. May all our friends have peace and happiness. May all our family members have peace and happiness. May all beings have peace and happiness. Yes, we can wish peace and happiness to ourselves, but we automatically have it when we wish it for others. This is the way how we are built. This is how we are built. We cannot change that. The main exercise of Mahayana Dharma, the most important exercise, Bodhicitta. what happens when we generate bodhicitta. What does it mean? Generate bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means body means awakening or enlightenment, and chitta means the heart and mind of it. I often translate heart mind of enlightenment. But you could say that bodhicitta is the enlightened state. So we generate the enlightened state. And what is the ultimate enlightened state? Is the purity of the bodies. So when we generate it, it activates all bodies, affects physical tissues, tissues of astral body, tissues of causal body. Causal body made of nadis, creating the aura around the body. And the more genuinely we generate bodhicitta, the stronger the experience is. The stronger the blessings, the showering or emerging of grace is. Alright, stay with it, stay with the energy. Let's lie down for 15-20 minutes.